welcome to the 2021 speaking contest. I'm Mrs. Forrest. This year brought some unique challenges, to say the least, so we are very happy to have the opportunity to hold this wonderful event. At this time, I would like to announce our speakers. Arvind Alwar, Samvi Bhatia, Tori Brady, Joe Clark, Rohan Desai, Yara Dillard, Peter Ford, Alec McKee, and Mickey T. Best of luck to all of you. I also want to thank our judges for taking time out of their schedule, so a special thank you to Tracy Hine, former East Social Studies teacher, Dr. Kevin Fagan, principal of Greystone Elementary, and Mr. Julian Swiggett, one of our incredible English teachers. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our MC for this morning, Miss Meg Merton.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me today. Has everybody got their spirit on? I'm sure you all do, because you'll be ready to introduce a famous CEO. Here he is, Steve Jobs. How many of you got jobs? Here's Arvind Alwar with Steve Jobs' Stanford commencement speech. Welcome.
I am honored. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as another drop-in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So why did I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed college graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set for me to be adopted by a lawyer and his wife. Except that when I popped up, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So my parents, who are on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We have an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother later found out that my mother had never graduated from college, and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would someday go to college. And 17 years later, I did go to college, but I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford, and all my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would work out okay. And here I was spending all my parents' savings, my parents gave me their whole entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in on the ones that looked interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned the Coke bottle for the 5-cent deposit to buy food with, and I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it, and much of what I stumbled into following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at the time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the best country. Everything in the campus, throughout the campus, every poster, every drawer on every label was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take the calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of spaces between different letter combinations and what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had even a practical application in my life, but 10 years later, when we designed the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. We designed it all into the Mac. It was the first beautiful typography computer. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, then the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts.
Thank you, Arvind. Going back in time, burning at the stake, and critiquing hypocrisy. Presenting Samdi Bhattia's interpretation and Madison Gordon's writing, here is, look, I'm a feminist, but some of the women in our 17th century New England village are definitely witches.
Okay, all of the people calling me a misogynist for this are out of their minds, all right? I have supported the women in this colony from day one. I've supported their right to own property, like spindles and wooden spoons and their weird little bonnets. I've even spoken out against the public lashing for wearing shoes that fall below the ankle. I even support women who want to cough audibly in church with their husband's permission. I mean, hey, I liked that Anne Hutchinson chick before she turned all weird and uppity and got banished from the congregation for heresy, which, let's be real, she totally had coming. I just think that all of these things need to happen on a case-by-case basis. And in this particular case, I'm not afraid to admit that at least half the women in this town are 100% completely witches. Now, I know there's been a lot of fuss over my recent accusation of Goody Stewart for being a witch. And honestly, I am so upset to have accused her because genuinely I really used to like her. But honestly, I don't think any reasonable person can look at her and say that she is not addicted to Lucifer right now. And I have a lot of female friends whose opinions I really trust, and at least 6 of them were like, oh yeah, Goody Stewart, she's definitely a witch. And I just think we need to trust women when they share these lived experiences with us. I know now that women are not all a monolith and some will have disagreeing opinions. But I also think that personally, I have the ability to figure out which women to trust and which not to. Now. I know this is a big problem. I know that women are disproportionately accused of witchcraft compared to men. And that is a problem I would totally speak out against if all of the women didn't clearly deserve it. Feminism is about treating women as equals. And sometimes that means criticizing them or pointing out when they're the ones that are causing the milk from the local dairy fields to go sour at the direct instruction of Satan. I would love to get behind a morally uptight woman that is virtuous and cares about the church. But honestly, things don't always work out that way. And sometimes that's just how it is. Yes, 8 of the 10 women accused in Massachusetts of witchcraft are women. And yes, 10 out of 10 women I've accused of witchcraft are women. But honestly, that's a pretty small sample size, and I don't think it's fair for you to insinuate that there's a correlation. And this is what it's all about. These gender politics are fine and well, but ultimately we need to prioritize the well-being of our community over these philosophical squabbles. I mean, we're at the very real risk of Satan corrupting our souls, turning our field fallow, and corrupting our children in this good Christian town. Is this really the time to be picky about who we burn at the stake and who not to? And I think that I need to trust my gut when it tells me that my perception of things is the objective truth. Even if some people think that it's kind of suspicious that my gut keeps telling me to burn women with fire. I have one last thing to say to the women of this community. I hear you. I trust you, and I stand with you. Except for the half of you that are absolutely completely witches.
Great job, Zombie. When a teacher in class says, there's no such thing as stupid questions, do you ever just want to prove them wrong? Well, Tori Brady is here to give her thoughts on these questions. Here she is with her rendition of Dennis Regan's Asking Stupid Questions.
Sometimes the teachers would say this. They'd say there's no such thing as a stupid question. I liked it when they said that. You know what I would do when they said that? I would raise my hand. Yes, Mrs. Baxter, is it possible for a 12-year-old boy to get pregnant from reading comic books? No? No? Oh, okay. I got some misinformation from my older brother. College is different though. The college professors, they never said there was no such thing as a stupid question. You know why? Because they knew better than that. You don't get to be a college professor and still hold the belief that there's no such thing as a stupid question. So in college, I need a different strategy, a different tactic, because I didn't want to study or do the assignments or anything like that. So I'd come up with smart questions that would make me sound smart to the teachers. You know, so when they're giving the grades and stuff, they might think, hey, yes, Professor, after perusing through the copious reading assignments which you ungrudgingly designate as compulsory, it has become abundantly clear to me that the incipient, and might I say pandemic, rise of quantitative easing in a post-holographic arena spawns a situation, and in fact a conundrum, in which the widespread growth of existential and even dystopian paradigms will threaten to dominate the landscape for the foreseeable future. Now, having said that, how would you therefore postulate a quid pro quo complexification from a nihilistic standpoint, and being broadly contemporaneous? Would that postulation even be germane to the philosophical dogma of the period? And secondly, because this is really a two-part question, I never really liked math. Math was my least favorite subject. Actually, it's like a 5-way tie for my least favorite subject. The thing about math is that you could try. Try to pay attention. Just look out the window for 2 minutes, come back, and you're lost forever. You might as well look back out the window again. You're never going to get back on track. It's not like you could say to the teacher, yes, could you repeat that? Yes, because I was staring out the window. I saw the birds fly by, and I was thinking, gosh, what if I could fly? I'd fly away from you, that's for sure. Fly away from you and your stupid lesson. I was okay with math until I got up to addition. I was cool with counting. Algebra 3? That was the worst class ever, Algebra 3. Okay, I didn't actually take Algebra 3. I took Algebra 1 3 times, but that's addition. Like, back in the day, I'd tell the teacher, I'm never going to use this algebra stuff, and I always tell the teacher, I'm never going to use this algebra. I was wrong. You don't use it very often, but once in a while I use algebra. Like, a few months back, I was in the train station in Baltimore, and train A was going to be leaving the station at 5 p.m. traveling west at 80 miles per hour, and train B was going to be leaving the station 3 hours later on a parallel track going 100 miles per hour. And the winds are out of the southeast at 18 miles per hour. There's a 30% chance of rain. The Dow Jones had dropped 200 points that day. The NASDAQ was up 40. I weighed 195 pounds. My blood pressure was 122/60. The Kansas City Chiefs had a record of 8-2 atop the leaderboard of the AFC West. And I had to figure out what train to get on. Luckily, there's an app for that now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tori. Sometimes students make bad choices. It's all part of growing up. However, our next speaker is pretty used to making pretty bad choices, and usually, at least, he apologizes for them. Please welcome Joe Clark to the stage as he presents How He Did It by Adam Simkowitz.
Thank you for coming. It's been a whirlwind, truly an honor. People ask me, they say, Joe, how do you do it? Well, today, I'm here to tell you all of my secrets. I don't want to say it's easy to be me and to do the things I've done, but with practice and persistence, you too can accomplish what I managed to accomplish, just a few simple steps. But you have to believe in yourself, and you have to trust your worst instincts. How to find yourself in jail, part 1. The awakening. First, maybe there's something in your life that you know you shouldn't do. This is possibly something you also really want to do. It might be tax fraud or larceny, arson. It might be bank robbery, grand theft auto, or perhaps stealing lawn mowers from people's yards. So the first thing is that even though you know you shouldn't do it, you do this thing. And then you do it again, and again, and again, until you have like a lot of no's, like a whole lot. Like someone might come over and see them and go, dude, why do you have so many no's? What can someone even do with that many no's? And why would you do this? And maybe there's no easy answer, except, the normal ones. Bad childhood, hole inside you, nothing to fill, sexual deviancy. And then one day, you're a little sloppy, and someone sees you and recognizes you, and the cops are there asking questions. And you answer them truthfully, because at the end of the day, you just want it to be over, and as they say, light is the best disinfectant. I also like white vinegar because it's not toxic and I don't mind the smell. So the cops are there with their belts and their badges and their serious faces, and they ask you point blank. So you bring them out to the shed, and they say, holy crap, and then they take you for a ride. And that is how. But you may be wondering, what next? What are your future plans now that this exciting project has come to an end? And to be honest, I don't really know. Never thought that far. Maybe I can finally rest, but probably not. It's a relief, and as you know, of course, I don't feel any better at all, sorry, Mom. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. When we were kids, there was always that one toy, one food, one cereal we all wanted really, really badly. But what lengths did you go to get it? Here's Rohan Desai sharing just how far kids will go in Donald Glover's Sugar Addiction.
Kids love sugar, and my brother, he loved sugar. He loved sugar. And I remember, when we were kids, we weren't allowed to have any sugary cereals. We just weren't. And I remember my mom would get us, the two cereals we were allowed to have when we were kids were Cheerios and Kix. And Cheerios, well, it's cardboard. Kix isn't so bad. It's a little sweet. I'll even say pretty good. But you know what I really want. So we would go to the store, and my brother would be like, Mom, can we get Cocoa Puffs? I really want Cocoa Puffs. Mom, can we get Cocoa Puffs? And my mom, she'd be like, no, we're not getting Cocoa Puffs. No sugar, no sugary cereals. And then one day, my brother just snapped. He just snapped. He was like, Mom, everyone's eating it. And my mom grabbed him. She said, fine. She put it in the cart and then walked away. And me and my brother were looking at each other like, what? It was that easy? So we go home, and we're skipping around, yes, we're gonna get Cocoa Puffs. Oh my God, it's gonna be so awesome. I'm so excited. We're gonna tell everyone at school we're getting Cocoa Puffs. And so my mom is a Tupperware woman. So she goes over to the cabinet and does the most devious thing I have ever seen anyone do. She takes one of those big cereal containers, for pouring and stuff, right? And she takes 1/4 of the Cocoa Puffs. Like just the top, like a fourth. And plops it in there, just a little bit, pours it on. Then, she takes a big old box of Kix. She pours it on top, shakes the box up. So the ratio was like 13,000 kicks to like one Cocoa Puff. It was like one spot of brown in there. She slides it across the table, and my brother is like crying. He's like, "You, how could you do this to me?" But he continues to pour himself a bowl. That's how much kids love sugar. That's how much my brother loved sugar. He was an addict. He could have been like, "Screw you, I don't need this." But he was like, "No, Mom, I still want it. I still want it." Like, if you like pizza and someone walks up to you and is like, "Hey, you like pizza?" And then he slides the pizza down his pants. Go get it. You're not gonna walk over and be like, "Oh, you jerk," and then still eat the pizza. Just don't eat the pizza. Just don't eat it. Thank you.
Great job, Rohan. Next, this famous ballad, now a cult classic among certain sects and facets of American society, was initially delivered by one Mr. William Smith in the late 20th century. Smith's reflection of his life and experiences resonated greatly among the youth of the time, propelling Smith's work as well as its associated media to stardom. Here's Yard Dillard with The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Everybody, this is a story, all about how my life, it got flipped, turned, right upside down. And so I'd like to just take a minute, and you guys can sit right there, and I'll tell you how I became the prince of this tiny town in California called Bel-Air. So, I should specify, West Philadelphia, I was born and raised. I spent a lot of my youth on the playground, shooting some basketball, maxing, relaxing all cool, and shooting some basketball outside the school, when a couple of guys who were, up to no good, they started making trouble in my neighborhood. And so I get in one little fight, and my mom, she flipped out, she gets scared, and she says, "You're moving with your aunt and your uncle in Bel-Air." And so, I begged, I pleaded with her day after day, but she packed my suitcase, and she sends me on my way. And so she gives me my Walkman, she gives me my ticket, I put my Walkman on and said, might as well kick it. But I was in first class on the plane, this is bad, drinking orange juice out of a champagne glass. Is this what the people of Bel-Air are living like, This might be alright. But wait, I hear they're prissy, bourgeoisie and all that. Is that the type of place they should send this cool cat? Now, I didn't know. I thought I would see when I got there, but I knew they were gonna have to be ready for the Prince of Bel-Air. So the plane lands, and when I come out, there's this guy. He's standing there, he looks like a cop, and he's got my name out. And I'm not trying to get arrested, I just got here. So I sprang with the quickness like lightning and I disappeared. And so I whistled for a taxi, and when it comes near, the license plate says fresh, and it had a dice in the mirror. If anything, I could definitely say that this cab was rare. So I jumped in, I whistled Ayo Holmes to Bel-Air. So the taxi pulls up to the house around 7 or 8. I jump out, I say, "Ayo Holmes, I'll smell you later." I sat on my throne, I was finally there to become the Prince of Bel-Air. Thank you.
Great job, Yard. Don't you just hate it when stores keep asking you to sign up for their frequent shoppers club? Well, here, Peter Ford has an interesting solution with Dennis Regan's giving out your real fake name.
You know what I hate now? The stores. They want you to join their frequent shoppers club. That's fine, but I don't want to be in the club, and I don't want all the questions. I'm at Banana Republic getting a couple things, and she's there. "You remember the Super Shoppers Club?" I go, no, I don't want to be. Sign you up real quick, get you 20% off all these purchases. I don't want to be in this stupid club. Sign you up, get you 10% off all future purchases. This is the 3rd time I'm telling you. I don't want to be in the club. We'll send you emails and tell you about upcoming sales. This is what I told her. I said, "Look, I'm wanted in 6 states. I'm a fugitive from justice. And that's why I can't be in the club." That's what I told her. And she said, "You just gave me your credit card." I said, That's not my credit card. How long would I remain at large? Handing out my actual credit card? And then the grocery store. Your PIN thing doesn't work in the deal. They want you to yell your phone number out in the middle of the grocery store. That's not smart. Security, guys. Never yell your phone number out in the middle of the grocery store. Not if I'm around. Because I'll call you. I'll call you up. Called a lady a few weeks ago. Yeah? Hello? Yeah, this is Peter. Yeah, you probably don't remember me. Yeah, I was standing behind you in line at the grocery store. Yeah, I was wearing a brown shirt, but you were kind of ignoring me. But you gave me your phone number. Well, you didn't give it to me specifically, but I was there to catch you. So, figured I'd call you and say, what's up? So, what's up? I'd come by your house. I don't know your address, though. I can find it on the internet doing a $40 reverse lookup, but I thought you might just save me the money. I'll bring you some flowers. You know, I don't know what kind of flowers you like. There's so much about you that I don't know, but I do know your phone number. And then Starbucks. What are they asking what my name is for? Just another business, want to know what my name is. Just give me $9, I'll give you $9, you give me a cup of coffee, we'll call it a transaction. I know they want to write it on the cup, right? That's the way they operate. But that's not the way I operate. I'll start doing this thing. They go, what's your name? It's, Glarbstintenford. What is it? It's Glarbstintenford. It's spelled just the way it sounds. Glarbstintenford, the common spelling, Glarbst, then another TNTNFORD, Glarbstintenford. You know, some people call me Glarb for short, but I prefer Glarbstintenford. Glarbstintenford. You know, I did that the other day at Starbucks, right? I didn't have enough cash. I didn't have the $9. So I had to use my credit card, which has my real name on it. So the guy's like, your name's Peter. You're not Glarbstintenford. You're not Glarbstintenford at all. Why did you say you were? And I'm like, yeah, Peter. That's my given name. That's on my birth certificate. I got that when I was born, but Glarbstintenford, that's my nickname. I've had it ever since I was a really little kid. My younger sister, Peggy, she just couldn't pronounce Peter. And it came out Glarbstintenford. And ever since she said it, that's what everyone's called me. My nephews, they call me Uncle Glarbstintenford. I kind of like it. One thing I don't like is I can never find my name, Glarbstintenford, on a keychain or a mini license plate for your bicycle. Thank you.
Great job, Peter. Or Glarbstintenford. Next up, arguments with your parents usually seem unwinnable, but when they're both lawyers, it's impossible. You can never get away with anything, even things you never could have done. Here's Alec McKee with John Mulaney's A Child with Lawyers.
I was nervous all the time, but I had a good family. I have wonderful parents. Guys my age, they'll say this all the time. They'll say, every day, I think I'm becoming more like my dad. I think I'm becoming more like my mom. Because I was watching that show, Access Hollywood, and one of the reporters said, up next, we have an exclusive interview with Sandra Bullock's former husband, Jesse James. And out loud, I went, ugh, this ought to be good. That is pure mom. My parents are both lawyers. They're both lawyers, and sometimes they would act like lawyers with us when we were kids. I remember one time I was in bed, and my dad came in and said, Alec, good night. Did you brush your teeth? And I said, yes. But here's the thing. I hadn't. But who cares? It's not like I had a job interview or anything. So my dad comes back in a couple minutes holding my toothbrush. He says, Alec, is this your toothbrush? And I said, yes. And he said, so we agree that this is your toothbrush. Then he said, Alec, this toothbrush is bone dry. Like, He looked down and he said, "Bone dry." He said, "Alec, you lied to me." And I said, "Dad, I did not lie. I told you that I brushed my teeth. I never specified that I brushed my teeth tonight. And if the court reporter will read back my remarks, you will see I did not perjure myself." My mom was also a lawyer, but she was a different kind of lawyer with us when we were kids. She was more like Nancy Grace. She would make wild accusations and wait for one of them to stick. She would even blame me for things that happened on the news, that actually happened. I remember one morning as a kid I woke up, and my mom was standing over my bed. She said, "I just heard that Princess Diana and her lover, Dodi Al-Fayed, have been killed in Paris." Like I had something to do with it. I said, "Mom, I have been here all night. You can feel the TV. It's warm." But luckily, I had a pretty good alibi, since I was in Wisconsin and 12. I'd always wanted to live in New York City when I was a kid. I'm so excited I get to live in New York City now. I remember I first saw New York City in a movie when I was a kid. It was called Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. It was a sequel. Yeah, how about that movie? It was a sequel to the movie Home Alone. I remember in that movie, the kid from Home Alone 2. He gets into a stretch limo on 5th Avenue with a large cheese pizza. And I thought, this is the height of luxury. So I live in New York City now, and I'm pretty psyched about that, but that movie title is stupid. Lost in New York? The streets are numbered. How'd you get lost in New York? So, I know it's pretty stupid to complain about a movie that came out 17 years ago, but I wasn't a comedian back then. I wish I was. I wish I'd been a Def Jam comic when that movie came out. I would have torn it to shreds. I would have been like, "You seen this? Seen this Home Alone 2 Lost in New York crap? It's a grid system, dude. Where you at? 24th and 5th? Where you want to go? 35th and 6th? 11 up and 1 over, you simpleton." That would have been my big joke. That would have been my closer. If I was a Def Jam comic back then, but alas, I was not. Thank you.
Thank you, Alec. Child prodigies hold so much talent at such a young age, blowing the minds of adults that are double or even triple their age, that are nowhere near as skilled. Unfortunately, not every kid can be born a prodigy, especially not at an elementary school talent show. Here's Mickey Tay with Talent Show by Miles Weber.
I've been wanting to do this since I was a kid. When I was 8 years old, I used to sneak out of bed and watch George Carlin on TV. And my parents were always like, "Oh, it's too adult. Don't worry about what it is, just go to bed." So, I did what any child who wants to know information their parents aren't giving up. I went to my teacher at school and I was like, "Hey, so there was this guy who was on TV, what was he doing?" And what she told me was one of the most influential things that I have ever been told in my entire life. She told me, "Oh, he's a comedian. He gets paid to tell jokes. He's funny, just like you." And I heard that, and the wheels started turning. And I was like, "You mean I should have been getting paid for this the entire time? Is my check in the mail? Because I have been hilarious, Miss Lady." So, the following year, there was a talent show at my school, and my teacher had been bugging me all year to enter into it. "Oh, Mickey, you should do the talent show. You would do so good in it. You should do stand-up comedy." And so, when I was 10 years old, I did stand-up comedy for the first time in my entire life. And I won my school's talent show doing stand-up comedy. It was rigged. It was not fair. I see that a lot of you are probably older siblings, so you know how a 10-year-old's talent show is gonna go. None of these kids are actually talented. And I don't know why my elementary school hated the parents so much that if you wanted to sing in the talent show, you could only choose one of 2 songs. If you were a boy and you wanted to sing in the talent show, you had to sing Living La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin. And if you were a girl that wanted to sing in the talent show, you had to sing What a Girl Wants by Christina Aguilera. There were 40 kids in this talent show. 38 sang. There was a magician and me. So it kind of went like, Living La Vida Loca, what a girl wants. 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 A magician. And y'all, the magician was not any good. He messed up the trick, peed his pants, and then ran off stage crying. Which, by the way, I thought was hilarious. It was way funnier than anything I was gonna say up there. But that was definitely not what he was going for. Then it was back to your regularly scheduled programming. Living La Vida Loca, what a girl wants. Living La Vida Loca, what a girl wants. Living La Vida Loca, what a girl wants. Here's Mickey T doing stand-up comedy. I got a standing ovation before I even got on stage. Some mom from the PTA threw her bra on stage and she was like, let him have it, let him have it. That kid is going places. And so, that's how I won my elementary school talent show. And to celebrate my victory, I sang What a Girl Wants by Christina Aguilera. Thank you.
Great job, everyone. Thank you to all of our amazing participants. And now I'm going to take a moment to thank all of the coaches and finalists who participated today. Aravind Alwar, coached by Mrs. Weaver. Samvi Bhatia, coached by Mr. Salcido. Tori Brady, coached by Mr. Petalty. Joe Clark, coached by Mr. N. Rohan Desai, coached by Mrs. McGuire. Yarick Dillard, coached by Mrs. Sperry. Peter Ford, coached by Ms. Flynn. Alec McKee, coached by Mr. Densmore. And last, but of course not least, Mickey T, coached by Mr. Bonds. Amazing job, everybody. Thank you all for participating today. At this time, I'm going to turn things over to Mrs. Forrest.
Thank you, Megan. Let's have a round of applause for our incredible MC. Here now to present the awards to our third, second, and first place speakers is Dr. Fagan.
Thank you, Mrs. Forrest. First, congratulations to all of our contestants this morning. This is not an easy thing to do. It's not easy coming up on a stage. Typically, we do this in front of an audience, but today it's a little bit different. It's still not easy, though, to come up here and perform. In fact, in some ways, it's more difficult, right? Because as a performer, you're not getting any feedback from an audience. You're not getting that vibe or that emotion that often fills the space. So you have to fill that space, and you have to do that internally. It's a very difficult thing to do. So kudos to you for having the courage to put yourself up here and to do this and to perform in front of your peers, in front of the staff. Not an easy thing to do. So my hat's off to you. Congratulations to all of you. I want to thank Megan Burton for being our comedic MC this morning. Thank you so much, Meg. Mrs. Diekman and her crew for providing the video audio support. This production does not happen without her expertise and that of her students, so thanks so much. Thanks to our judges, Mr. Swiggett, Mrs. Hine, to Mr. Lewis and Mrs. Forrest for all their work. You can see that even a production like this, though somewhat simplified this year with no audience, still takes a lot of people to come together to make this happen. This was great, the highlight of my day. Loved being here for this. I love this activity. and I thought you guys did super. Let's get to our winners this morning. Drum roll, please. Coming in this morning at third place is Rohan Desai. Coming in at second place, Alec McKee. And coming in at first place, Mickey T. Congratulations, Rohan and Alec and Mickey. Terrific job this morning, but again, just to all of you, great job. Thanks so much for having us. Thanks everyone for the part that you played in this, and take care.
Congratulations again to our speakers. A special thank you to Mr. Lewis, Ms. Beekman, Ms. Preto, and all the teachers who sponsored our kids. And have a great night.